Hi guys, I'm Smita and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things AI and machine learning related. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the 5 steps that you guys need to take in order to prepare for a machine learning engineering interview and also to successfully land it. I would say that machine learning engineering interviews are actually technically much more niche than software development. And there's a lot of resources out there for preparing for software development interviews, but there's just not enough resources which help you guys prepare for machine learning engineering interviews and also data science interviews. So this video is going to do just that. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's video. So the first step is actually doing a self-assessment of yourself when you're applying for this machine learning engineering position. You feel that you're kind of lacking in theoretical knowledge or practical knowledge, then it's time to go back to the drawing board and maybe build that theoretical knowledge. And also, if you want to build some more practical knowledge, you could do that by working on some projects, etc. So this assessment stage is extremely important. And if you guys are unsure of the time frame that we're talking about, for example, if you are learning machine learning based on the machine learning roadmap that I've created, and if you already have existing knowledge of programming and math, then it will take you about 6 months to complete this entire roadmap. And if you don't have existing knowledge of programming and the required knowledge in linear algebra, statistics, etc., then it will take you slightly more than a year. So depending on all of this, you can plan out if you're at the right stage to be applying for machine learning engineering positions and to actually start interviewing for them. So once you're done with step number 1, you feel confident in your machine learning knowledge, we can actually move on to step number 2, which is looking at what questions. So when I'm referring to what questions, I'm referring to theoretical questions that you might be asked in your machine learning engineering interview. Now, I have to be very, very frank. These theoretical questions are actually not that common at all. If you actually go online and look at some of the top machine learning engineering interview questions, you see that it's mostly filled with very theoretical questions. And to be honest, in the real world scenario, an interviewer is not going to ask you a lot of theoretical questions, but there might be some theoretical questions. So it's important that you actually prepare for that. So step number 2 involves exactly that, to look at your theory, to test your theory. And you can do that by looking at a lot of different questions online. But keep in mind that this is not the entirety of the interview. In fact, this is a very small aspect of the interview questions you will be asked. Once you have done step number 2, we want to move on to step number 3, which is assessing and also building on your practical ML knowledge. So when I'm talking about practical ML knowledge, not only am I talking about the machine learning libraries that you're using, the machine learning algorithms that you're making use of, but I'm also talking about the entire machine learning pipeline and your experience with building machine learning pipeline from data collection all the way to model building, etc. So all of this, and also the wide range of tools which are used by machine learning engineers in building this pipeline. I'm actually going to be making a video in the future talking about the tools which are used by machine learning engineers in actual companies and how you guys can also definitely practice using them. And once you're done with step 3, we move on to step 4, which arguably is the most important aspect of your preparation for this machine learning engineering interview. And this is the practical questions, or as I would like to call, the how questions. So these are extremely important, and I feel like the practical questions actually make up about 90% of the questions that you're going to be getting in your interview. So step 4 is extremely important. The reason why these practical questions or these how questions are extremely important is because when you're interviewing for a machine learning engineering position or a data scientist position, the interviewer already assumes that you have theoretical knowledge. So it would not make sense to just ask you, what is linear regression? What are SVMs? These theoretical questions. It would make much more sense for the interviewer to ask you practical questions which will also in turn test your theory as well. So these questions will be largely based on how you apply your existing knowledge of machine learning, and the interviewer will also be looking at the projects that you have done, that you have included in your CV and portfolio, and they'll be actually asking you and going through your project. And they'll be asking you, hey, why did you decide to go with this algorithm for this type of data? Why not this other algorithm? What was the thought process behind making this decision on using this type of algorithm? Why did you choose this type of data set for this project? Why not some other data set? What was your thought process behind it? So these are the how questions, and these are very, very important because this actually also reveals your knowledge of machine learning and how in-depth you have went into projects and also the theoretical aspect as well. It's also important that you guys are extremely familiar with the machine learning pipeline, because that is also a very important question which comes up. And how does your own machine learning pipeline look like, and what type of tools you made use of when you are working on your personal projects as well. So these are very popular questions that interviewers are going to be asking you. And once you're done with step 4, which as I was saying is a really huge aspect of your interview preparation, we can move on to step 5, which is also extremely important, and that is related to the actual work that the company that you're interviewing for is doing. So before your machine learning engineering interview, it's very important that you do your due diligence and also research on the company that you're interviewing for. Not just a very basic level research, but try to think about what type of problems they will be solving using machine learning. What type of data sets do you think this company is actually going to be working with? Obviously, a lot of this is very confidential and it's not something that you can easily find online, but it's really important that you can kind of get a gist by looking at the company's website and also looking at various projects that the company might have worked on. And these questions that the interviewer or the technical machine learning engineer or manager is going to be asking you is going to be very much related to what the company is already working with, because they want to know that you have some sort of experience with what they're already working with, whether it is the type of Python frameworks which they're using, or whether it is the type of data sets that they are using. So if you are interviewing for a company which is largely working in the field of computer vision, be prepared to have in-depth knowledge in OpenCV, which is a very popular framework for computer vision. And also you should definitely know your deep learning algorithms as well, such as RCNNs and convolutional neural networks, as these are very popularly used in computer vision. So all in all, let me recap this entire video. So step number 1, when you are preparing for your ML interview, is actually doing a self-assessment of your skills. Step number 2 is preparing for theoretical questions, which, as I was saying, takes up about probably 10% of the questions that you're going to get might be theoretical. Step number 3 is assessing your practical knowledge and also assessing the type of tools and machine learning algorithms that you are familiar with. Step number 4 is the most important part, which is looking at the practical questions, looking at the how questions. And step number 5 is looking very specifically at the type of work that the company that you're interviewing for is doing and being able to actually answer any questions which might come up from their end based on the type of algorithms or even data that they might be working with. So guys, I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments section below, and also drop a comment below if you would like an entire dedicated video simply for questions. So for questions that you might get asked in a machine learning engineering interview, I could definitely do that as well, because I feel like a lot of guides out there are not that accurate, and there definitely needs to be a lot of improvement in the type of resources available for machine learning engineers who are applying for these positions. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to click the like button and also subscribe, as that helps me a lot. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video.